Okay, welcome everybody. This is the Pre-K Primary Resource Committee meeting number 1. Today is December 5th, 2024. This meeting is open to the public and we encourage and welcome members of our community to observe. I would like to call our meeting to order at 4:32 p.m. Before we begin introductions, please remember to use a microphone when speaking as our meeting is being recorded for public viewing. I'll start the introductions. Welcome, I'm Susanna Finn, Curriculum and Instruction Coordinator.
I'm Lindsay Patrick, Instructional Coach at Blue Horizons Elementary.
Preschool.
Katie Jacobs, Assessment and EL Coordinator.
Erica Daniel, Executive Director of School Effectiveness.
I'm Chelsea John, Preschool Inclusion Teacher.
Erica Lilienthal, Developmental Preschool Teacher.
Rebecca Willie, Ed Services Coordinator.
Did we get you? Yeah, I don't know.
Mary Pinuelas, Instructional Coach, Freedom.
Kara Cook, Preschool Coordinator. Nicole Hampton, Gen Ed Preschool Teacher.
Anna Hunter, Developmental Preschool Teacher.
Marissa McWhorter, Developmental Preschool Teacher.
Rena Malkowski, Preschool Inclusion Teacher.
Tiffany Height, Developmental Preschool Parent.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We're going to move to agenda item number 1.2, Purpose and Outcomes. Our purpose is to recommend resources that will support and enrich the curriculum, considering the varied interests, abilities, learning styles, and maturity levels of the students we serve. As a committee, we place principle above personal opinion and reason above prejudice in recommending the highest quality resources to ensure a comprehensive collection appropriate for the complete education of all students. Our outcomes include reviewing committee commitments and criteria to evaluate a potential primary resource for preschool education. Now we are going to move to the agenda item 1.3, that is an actual review of criteria for scoring. The committee will now discuss the draft rubric criteria for scoring all preschool primary resources. As you see, I already have it posted on the screen, but you also have printed copies in front of you. If you need more copies, we have some extras over here. Make sure that everybody has one, and then you have a pen if you need to annotate the document. So first, we'll look at the structure of the rubric, and you can just follow along here, which is organized in several sections. We have standards alignment, then we have organization. Next one is content. Then it's assessment, teacher support. You see that as well. Each descriptor has 3 levels of criteria, so I'll go back up and you see those 3 columns to the right. It says either the resource is clearly apparent, has the component clearly apparent, somewhat apparent, or barely or not apparent. So you have the 3, 2, 1. So now we're going to look at the specific descriptors, starting with, and just gonna keep that in mind. Is the descriptor clear and understandable? And are any adjustments needed? And that is really the sole purpose of this meeting today, to go one descriptor at a time, and everybody's looking at this and making suggestions if needed before we move on. Is everybody ready to start? Yeah? Okay, great. So let's go to the very top that says alignment. For question number 1, based on provided evidence only, material is research-based and aligned to Arizona early learning standards. So again, think about it. Is this question clear and understandable? Are any adjustments needed? If you think it's clear and understandable, just thumbs up. If you have some suggestions, please share out. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's move to question number 2. Instructional materials attend to the learning progression emphasized in the standards so the curriculum is coherent. So this is more of a mouthful, so take a second. And then if the descriptor is clear and understandable, thumbs up. If you would like to propose any adjustments, that's fine too. So whenever you're ready.
Mom, do you understand this? As a parent? I don't.
So going back to the first one, we do have early learning standards that Arizona Department of Education has for preschool. So we want to make sure that that kind of aligns with everything. And then the instructional materials attend to the learning progressions emphasized in the standards. Erica, do you want to?
Explain that one. Microphone, please.
So from my understanding, that's basically saying that the the curriculum materials, is it conducive to what the program is offering? Does it match with it or does it not match with it?
I'm wondering about the word attend. So is it more in alignment? So instructional materials align to the learning progressions emphasized in the standards so that curriculum is coherent
That's a good
instead of
point.
attend. I think that was throwing me off.
It's more precise. Do you agree? Lorena, could you please make the change? Okay. So now it reads instructional materials aligned to the learning progression emphasized in the standards so that curriculum is coherent. Does this sound clear and understandable? Yes, thumbs up. Good. Excellent. Okay. We are going to move to the section that's called organization. Question number 3. And it's better if you follow along because this is a mouthful also. Material provides instructional support to help teachers sequence, pace, and scaffold lessons so the students move from what they know to what they do not know. So think about that. Is it clear and understandable? Any adjustments needed? Yes.
And that's kind of clarifying the learning progression there, going from, a simple task and building complexity, going from a foundational level of understanding to a proficient level. There are levels in between to get to that proficient level.
So is this descriptor clear and understandable, or do we need to make any adjustments? If you think it's clear and understandable, thumbs up.
Okay, so based on what Erica just said, I'm wondering if it'd be more clear if we said moves from simple to complex. Because what a student knows and what they do not know is could be varied from child to child versus the alignment of the curriculum does move from simple to complex. So it would read something like, and scaffold lessons so that content moves from simple to complex. Something like that.
What do you think?
So it's talking about the materials provide instructional support to help teachers sequence, pace, and scaffold lessons that move in. Yeah. So not so, yeah, we would not keep the students. Scaffold lessons that sequence from simple to complex.
So it would say, and scaffold lessons that move from simple to complex. To help teachers sequence pace and scaffold lessons that move from simple to complex. I feel like there needs to be a noun at the end. Some kind of noun at the end after simple to complex. No?
Teachers.
I don't think we need the last line at all then. We can- It is redundant.
I don't think it needs that last. Yes. Materials provide instructional support to help teachers sequence, pace, and scaffold lessons, period.
Okay, so now it reads, material provides instructional support to help teachers sequence, pace, and scaffold lessons. That is clear and understandable. Are we good? Thumbs up? Okay. Loretta, could you please remove all?
Is there any other section that adds the word differentiation?
I think what that one was looking for is like a pacing guide, something to break down all the content that we are going to, introduce over the course of the year and give us like a good pacing guide.
Yeah, so then you may not need scaffolds lessons.
Yeah, no, it's really just a pacing guide, kind of just keep us all on the same page, and it's, we're all following along, and then the differentiated will come in at a different part, I believe.
So then is it material provides a pacing guide for instructional support?
That way we know what to look for.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Material provides pacing guide for instructional support. Does this work? Yes? Yes. Third try. Excellent. We'll just translate our thinking here. That sounds good. Okay. Are we okay to move to question 4? Yes? Okay, question number 4. Materials, and in parentheses it says digital and hard copy, are integrated. Oh, okay. And integrated technology are user-friendly and in an accurate, practical, and appealing format for students and teachers. Materials, digital and hard copy, and integrated technology are user-friendly and in an accurate, practical, and appealing format for students and teachers.
Maybe instead of practical, developmentally appropriate, because that looks very different in preschool, and it's not as much practical as it is what's developmentally appropriate for the level that the child's at.
And practical is just too vague. What does that really mean, right? Appropriate. Any other changes potentially to propose? Material, digital, and hard copy are integrated technology are user-friendly and in an accurate, developmentally appropriate and appealing format for students and teachers.
I need clarification on accurate. Why do we need that descriptor?
We don't. I think even I mean, if we're just talking about the presentation and the format of it, then developmental, appropriate, and appealing is just fine. Because what do we mean by accurate? It's not working?
We can't hear you because you turn away.
I was gonna say, for accurate, like especially in preschool, like we're like introducing a lot of letters and sounds. We want to make sure that it is truly accurate. Like for example, if we have a song that introduces a letter with its sound, for example, M, which is what we're doing this week, we don't want it to have like a diphthong hanging at the end of it and making it muh. It's We want to make sure that it's truly accurate for them.
You just made some people really happy with your explanation.
But that's also in the category of organization.
That is more content.
Yes.
Highlight accurate and come back. Okay. So we are just going to highlight this, and when we go through content, see if we need to make any adjustments.
Also, you might want to highlight developmentally appropriate because that is also content.
Okay.
Because we're talking about the organization of the program that you're purchasing. Yes.
Well, if we are just talking about organization, why do we even need those? They should be in content to start with. So they could just simply say they're user friendly and in an appealing format for students and teachers. Okay, so you read now. Okay. Materials, digital and hard copy, and integrated technology are user friendly and in an appealing format for students and teachers. Is this clear and understandable? Okay, if you agree, thumbs up. Excellent. We are moving to question number 5 then. Material allows for the use of a wide variety of manipulatives and visual models to build conceptual understanding to support all learners.
I'm also wondering if that crosses over into
Content.
content and instruction.
Okay, so do we just want to highlight and just hold off question number 5 and just see if we have any redundancy with content and then move on? Is that okay? Good with that? Okay. Okay, so let's move to question number 6 and we will revisit question number 5. Material allows for differentiation to meet developmental needs of all students. And in parentheses, developmental preschool versus inclusion preschool.
Just to elaborate on that one a little bit more, in developmental preschool, they do teach to the standards as much as they can, but they're doing a lot of goal-based work too with kids. And then in inclusion preschool, it's the majority, a lot of the Arizona state standards with some of the kids that have IEP goals, but developmental just looks different with how their instruction goes.
So
I was also wondering, I mean, I know we're starting with the word materials, but when you're talking about differentiation in instruction, you're also talking about the curriculum and instruction part, not necessarily the organization, the way it's laid out, the format.
Would the format of a curriculum, some curriculum may not include some materials and some may. Would that be in the?
So then so if you want on even question 5, to add that it has embedded, okay, I got it, materials and visual models.
So then it would be more like provides resources for differentiation. So there'll be the organization of the actual.
There you go.
Because what would you want it to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, would you want to see this is for students who have differentiated learning needs versus this is for EL versus like a lot of our curriculums are going to say that, right? They're going to say, here's here's a strategy for your EL learners. Here's a strategy for your special education learners. Here's a strategy for enrichment.
So that's the structure
That's it.
within the materials that we need to see.
That's the question. That's question number 6. Work now. The way it's written, the material provides resources for differentiation to meet developmental needs of all students. And there was a comment made here for punctuation for developmental preschool and inclusion preschool. The suggestion is making a lowercase. But if it's a title of the classroom, then we're keeping it capital. Okay, it's the name of the program. Okay. Are you okay with that? You're gonna hold the vote? Are we okay moving to question number 7 with some hesitation about punctuation? All right, so question number 7 now is moving to content. So remember, we do have question number 5 that's highlighted that might be somewhat redundant here or answered here. So we're looking at question number 7. Materials have an intentional balance of direct, explicit instruction and student choice, including purposefully planned learning centers that are appropriate for the content and skill development. I'm taking longer because it's so many lines, but if it's clear and understandable to you, we can vote.
I think that this is a really good one to keep just because direct and explicit instruction is really important because that's our direct contact with the kids besides like us working on IEP goals, especially in our developmental classrooms, like inclusion classrooms. They have someone else come in and provide those direct minutes to the kids on IEPs. However, if we don't provide them with like explicit instruction, I don't think it'll have a balance because we do use play as learning in the classroom. Like we are required, especially with our licensing, to provide at least an hour of straight play for the kids. Well, not straight, but an hour of full play for the kids. And then learning centers are really good for the kids because we get to teach them things that they may not be able to experience. So in my classroom and some of the other classrooms, we are teaching them about things such as supermarkets. A lot of the parents are scared to take their kids to supermarkets because of their behaviors and the way that they react and things that are so unknown. And I think keeping planned learning centers that are provided even through our materials and through our curriculum would really benefit the kids because at some point we're going to run out of ideas for them. And we don't want them to get bored because we choose the same 4 ideas.
I was also going to add that in our preschool program, we try to keep the direct explicit instruction to 15 minutes. Circle time is short. It has to be with some of the requirements that we have. So what we're looking for with kind of this statement or this is planning centers that also tie into what the explicit instruction is. So essentially those learning centers are an extension of what that direct instruction was. So if they're doing the letter M during circle time in, the play center, or I'm sorry, in pretend center, it might be like the market and they're incorporating the letter M and food items that start with the letter M. It's a lot of extension from the direct instruction.
Thank you for the explanation. Anything else before we vote? Is the question then phrased clearly and understandably? If you agree, thumbs up. Thank you. So we are going to be moving to question number 8. Materials are multi-kinesthetic and provide a variety of instructional methods that appeal to diverse learning interests and needs. I see thumbs up already. Are we good with that one? Excellent. Moving to question number 9. Materials are intended for both 3 and 4-year-olds and include a variety of options that clearly differentiate instruction for level of development. See thumbs up. Is this clear and understandable? Okay. Question number 10. Materials include specific, intentional, and purposeful cross-curricular connections to create a unified experience for students. I see thumbs up. Are we good to move on? Okay. Question 11. Literacy content is incorporated into whole group, small group, or individual instruction.
Can we take out content? I'm sorry, wait, where was it?
Question
Take
11.
out literacy, because it's actually, the curriculum have math, writing, and literacy all incorporated. So we just say content, because we do small groups in all areas of the standards.
Content here. Tell Loretta so she can read.
Can we replace or with and individual instruction so it incorporates all 3 modes of instruction?
Okay, so now we read content is incorporated into whole group, small group, and individual instruction. Is that clear and understandable? Yes? Thumbs up? Excellent. Question number 12. Materials provide guidance on developing students' listening skills, increasing oral language skills, and providing authentic text conversations. If it's clear and understandable, thumbs up.
Do we want to focus on authentic text conversations? I feel like, especially with my kids, and I may be speaking for the developmental teachers here, but I honestly would rather my children speak to each other. Like, my kids don't always have social conversations, and that's one of the hardest things to teach, especially with kids who are nonverbal and or are using an AAC device or visuals and everything like that. I feel like if we were to take out like authentic text conversations or even just the text, it would be more beneficial for our students, especially the ones who are struggling to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we were on the same page with that.
Okay, so we are removing authentic. So it's going to read authentic conversations. Okay. Are we good with that now? Materials provide guidance on developing students' listening skills, increasing oral language skills, and providing authentic conversations. Yes? Thumbs up? Good. Question number 13. Materials support expanding student vocabulary using connections to the real world. Clear and understandable? Yes? Excellent. Next page continues with content. We are on question number 14. Materials provide direct, explicit instruction and opportunities for student practice in phonological awareness skills, alphabetic knowledge skills, and print knowledge and concepts. I see some nods. Are we okay with this one? Yes? Thumbs up? Erica, are we good to move? Okay, let's look at question 7. So this one is about learning centers and the balance between explicit and student choice. Question 14.
It's more specific to phonics.
Yeah, it's more language development, correct?
writing and then fine motor and then math.
But what about phonics? So they still learn the sounds.
But isn't that phonological?
That's phonological, right?
That is not, so phonics is sound symbol. Phonological awareness is just hearing it.
Okay.
So after the awareness skills, comma, phonics, comma, correct? Okay. Okay, so now we read materials provide direct, explicit instruction and opportunities for student practice in phonological awareness skills, phonics, alphabetic knowledge skills, print knowledge, and concepts. If this is clear, understandable, just feel free to show a thumbs up. Okay, we
wanted
have another.
clarification in preschool on alphabetic knowledge skills.
The question is, what would be the difference in alphabetic knowledge skills and print knowledge and concepts?
To me, alphabetic knowledge skills would be for like our inclusion kids who can verbalize it, whereas print knowledge, our nonverbals can touch it.
Okay, so alphabetic knowledge is just identifying letters, A, B, C, like that's it. Print knowledge is understanding that print has meaning, being able to follow left to right, knowing that there's top to bottom, touching one word as they're reading. That is print knowledge. Understand, titled that. Yeah. Your very basic, like learning to look at a book, turning pages in the correct order, understanding, that print has meaning.
And
Actually, you know what? Instead of print knowledge and concepts, we could just say, what did you just say? Concepts of print. That's all we need.
Okay, Loretta, that it's going to be concepts of print. Put and before concepts. Okay, so now it reads materials provide direct, explicit instruction and opportunities for student practice in phonological awareness skills, phonics, alphabetic knowledge skills, and concepts of print. Is it clear and understandable? Thumbs up. Erica, use the microphone, please.
I'm honestly, I'm just wondering, and from what I know about print concepts, that does include alphabetic knowledge, like uppercase, lowercase, word, spaces, left to right.
Just to note here, with what we use in terms of assessment with the kids, which is our teaching strategies gold, those are two different sections of our standards that we have to watch for.
Okay, I think they're satisfied. Any need for clarity? Are we good to move on?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, question number 15. Writing content is incorporated into whole group, small group, or individual instruction. I am going to also recommend or being changed into and.
I have a question. How is this any different than what we edited question 11 to? If we're taking out literacy content, why are we including writing content if we're using content as a whole? Can we take this question out because it's kind of redundant?
Taking question 11 out?
Question 15 out.
Hold on.
Yeah, 15 and 17 I think need to be taken out because if we're going to group content together, it just needs to be content as one. We don't need 3 questions for it.
Okay.
Because we took out
Would you need Is there a spot that defines what content is then?
That's a good point.
Or could you put together literacy, writing, and math content into one question?
You could. Yes, content, parentheses, literacy, writing, math. End of parentheses.
In terms
You may
of
want to
content,
specify, probably.
can I also add that in preschool, we do follow the 5 domains of development, which does include social emotional learning. That is something that we definitely need to include because our preschool students that are on IEPs do qualify in social emotional. So please, can we add that in as our content as well?
So would that be question 11? I'm going back to 11.
And I just want to add, it's not just for kids with IEPs, it's for preschoolers as a whole because they are still little kids. So we'd have to teach them how to social emotionally.
Regularly.
Adding on to that, it's developmentally appropriate. And I think that's something we need to push for in this because currently not having a curriculum and us just going off of a guide that we have, I would say that it is a little bit more challenging when we do get kids who are, let's say 3, coming into classes with kids who are 4 and 5 and have been in school before. So we're already differentiating instruction for them, but it does make it a little bit more challenging to even provide them with a model of that. And learning the 5 domains for those kids, this is the first time they're away from their parents. We are bound to see a lot of behaviors and things like that. However, this is a place that we want to create a safe space for. We want them to understand that we care and we are their #1 supporter besides their parents.
Okay, so we're back to question 11. Loretta, I think take out the preposition for, start with all content, and then let's see how that looks. All content and parentheses, literacy, writing, math, SEL is incorporated into whole group, small group, and individual instruction. You mentioned 5. Is there a 5th one?
Well, physical would be our 5th one. Writing would kind of go under cognitive and physical because it is a fine motor task. So it's reading or cognitive, social emotional, adaptive, physical, and communication.
So do you want to just label it by those domains instead? So
Communication. And that's what you're considering your content.
but then then we don't need literacy, writing, and math because that's the cognitive part, right? Okay. Does this, okay, preschool, look at this. Does this look correct? SEL, cognitive, adaptive, physical, communication. Yes, okay. So we're good with question number 11. Moving on. Okay. So let's go back to question number 15. So we can take 15 out, correct? We can take 17 out. So let's go to question number 16.
I'm so sorry. Can we go back really, really quick to the one and take out adaptive? That's really not an area that we have direct, explicit like curriculum for those skills. That's like toileting, hand washing, that stuff. It's not a domain.
Question 11.
So that one, yeah, take that one out and then we'll be good.
Okay. Is it good now? Okay. Okay, let's go to question 16. Materials support fine motor development and the developmental stages of writing. So doesn't that go with 11?
Yes, please
Okay,
take
so
that out.
16 is out.
I fear 18 maybe.
Okay, let's look at 18. Materials intentionally develop young children's ability to problem solve, build students' number sense, and follow a logical mathematical continuum of concrete, pictorial, and abstract representations. That goes with 11. Okay, that's out. Okay. We are moving to the next section. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's cross check 5. So question 5 read, material allows for the use of a wide variety of manipulatives and visual models to build conceptual understanding to support all learners.
Are we trying to take this one out? Is that what we were intending?
We were not completely sure if it did not overlap with content and that would make it redundant, but now that we removed several questions, maybe there's no redundancy.
I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I think we need to keep that one because whatever we use,
Yes.
we need it because we
Yes.
need visual, we need everything for every single learner.
Mhm.
Like someone might be able to hear it and do it, but like me, if I don't understand it, I need to hear it, see it, and practice it. So we need something that's well-rounded.
Yes.
I think the question was just the location under the header. Is it really organization or is it content?
I think it could be both,
It is
honestly.
both.
That's what I was going to say was can in the organization part, can you say that it has manipulatives, and within the content part that what the manipulatives are, that they are developmentally appropriate, able to be differentiated for different uses, practical. Yeah.
Well, then it wouldn't be material allows for the use. So then material provides a wide variety of manipulatives, right?
How is that different than 6 then if we use provides wide material of manipulatives?
As resources. Good question.
It says your differentiation, right? So your organization says, do this for EL, do this for enrichment, do this for, right?
I think number 5 also, how is it organized in the curriculum for us to be able to provide visuals versus auditory versus, I think it's breaking it down like how is the curriculum organized? I don't know if that makes sense.
So the material is organized. Well, let's just use those words somehow.
It said material provides a variety of opportunities, or no, what is the word?
It is a little gray.
Because if we're talking about organization and structure and laid out,
That's
I
content.
get that, but how do you want that then if you want to leave it in organization? Are you saying
Are you saying like the teacher manual is organized, or like the pacing guides are organized in a way that they specify which?
I think it's like to have the option from back when we had Quality First come and they were talking to us about all these different curriculums. They broke it down by having the option to use different parts of how it was organized. It's so hard to go back. Like I see it in my head. It wasn't necessarily like the content, but how it was broken down into each manual and how
materials needed were identified in
But where are they identified in like the teacher manual?
Maybe this one goes to how we do our themes throughout the year. So each year, well, not each year, but every month pretty much gets its own theme. So the beginning of the school year is like back to school. We spend 2 weeks learning routines and, reviewing everything that we need to teach the kids when they first start. The materials then with what we used in the past would break down exactly what we would do for that first month. So it told us the book we were reading. It told us what our theme was, which was our body. So it reviewed we're going to do our learning our bodies, our five senses, our names, our friends' names, where we at, and stuff like that. So that kind of broke it down and organized it to determine what books were appropriate for us to read, what activities we were doing, and then we would then build off of that like vague idea of a theme and then go into what we each individually taught in our own classrooms.
So then saying they're organized in themes. Would that be somewhat limiting though, based on the resources?
Well, that connects to the pacing and the overview of how everything's laid out to me. So in the pacing and the overview, you want it to list possible manipulatives and things that will be needed. Like, so you see like a page at a glance. No, so am I. I'm trying to.
But then you'd also want to see, you know, if they include math manipulatives, those little, what are they called? The little squares, math squares. Yeah, little cubes. Those can be used for one-to-one counting. Those can also be used to measure, you know, this is this tall to to do colors, right? That could be used to identify colors. Those could also be used. And so I think those could be cross as far as the one manipulative that's included can be used in these different ways. And here's where you can use them.
Do you think we should combine 3 and 5? That's what I'm thinking. And maybe say like material provides pacing guide for instructional support with a wide variety of manipulatives and visual models to build conceptual understanding to support all learners.
Copy and paste. Number 5, go to number 5. Copy and paste after your manipulatives and visual models to build.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, so we are removing question number 5.
And I think the plus is we both agree we want those things, whether they're in the section we're looking for organization or content, it needs to be provided.
Okay, are we able to move on to the next questions? Okay, so we are moving to assessment, and that is listed as question 19. Materials include developmentally appropriate diagnostic tools, formative and summative progress monitoring, and guidance for teachers and students to monitor progress. I just have a question about the students monitoring their progress at age 3 or 4.
I can say something to that because I was an inclusion teacher for like 10 years or something. But like with our inclusion kids who are they're able to understand, you can show them. You can use that as not incentive, like an encouragement. Like, yeah, there we go, motivation. Because
it's ownership.
Yes, and then their peers will see it and be like, "Oh, I want to do that." So they'll try it. And that's a good example for peers who don't want to be there, who don't think it's important because maybe at home they don't see that importance. And at that age, friendships is a big deal. So if the peers see their peers doing that, it's like a motivation for them. So I think that's how we can, the students can monitor it. Developmental, no. Like my friends they don't care about that. They're not, some of them are not cognitively there to understand that, but the teacher part is good for me to know, like, okay,
Sure.
they're not there and I can support them through.
In developmental, though, I will say there are ways for students to monitor their own progress. For example, if we're toilet training, seeing it on a sticker chart, seeing, wow, I've made progress. I'm doing great. I'm going to the bathroom. That's huge for them. And they do want that ownership as well because they like to show their families that they've done good.
Okay. Thank you.
And it also motivates the families to continue the progress.
Okay. So is this question clear and understandable? Yes? Thumbs up? Okay. Okay, we're moving to question number 20. Materials aligned to teaching strategies, goal, objectives.
We're going to take this one out because ADE keeps going back and forth with whether or not preschool needs to do teaching strategies gold for inclusion students and only use it for developmental students. So because they keep going back and forth, I don't want to just use that as a sole reason to
Sure. Okay, so let's
the
remove
curriculum.
question 20. Are we okay removing it, everybody? Yes? All right. We are going to move to question 21, and this is under teacher support. Question 21. Materials include scope and sequence with practice and review opportunities that support instruction. Clear and understandable? Yes? Thumbs up? Okay, question 22. Materials provide implementation guidance to meet variability. I can't speak. Variability. There you go. Okay, I need new glasses. Sorry. Programming design and scheduling considerations. Materials provide implementation guidance to meet.
I'm going to explain this one because some of the curriculum are written for a 5-day program. And since we're a 4-day program, we have to take that into consideration on how could we break that down and which day would we take out. So that is a common thing that happens with preschool and with the 4-day and 3 hours as well too, our schedule with 15-minute circle time. Like there's just with the requirements, we want to make sure that that's.
So based on that explanation, when we get to trialing, if we get to trialing some of these, will that be something that we look at, or is it just something we're taking into consideration right now?
It will be one of those descriptors that you look at as you are reviewing the resources.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are we good with question number 22? Yes? Thumbs up? Okay. Question number 23. Materials provide guidance on fostering connections between home and school. Okay, I think we have a complete agreement here. Question number 24. Professional learning opportunities meet criteria for implementation.
Maybe this one is more of, I know curriculum offer professional development where either they come or it depends on each curriculum does something different, but just an extension of here's your curriculum now, good luck, but coming and training teachers on how to use it, or, you know, that continuation throughout the year with professional development opportunities.
Or having the online support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We may not be able to see that in the resources though, because that usually comes along with your quote. Professional development.
I think
We definitely have at least a couple of
do.
resources where printed information about potential professional development for teachers.
I think on the quotes out there, I was reading that some of them include in the price professional
some
development is a
do.
part of it. So
And some also have already a list of offerings for different professional development that they offer throughout the year. So are we good with this one?
I have a question. Sorry. Would this also include like trainings for our paraprofessionals? Because even though we are in the classroom majority of the time, we do have paras who also support our learning and teaching with the students. So I was just wondering, like, although it is mainly like teacher professional development, there are days like when, you know, parent teacher conferences are happening and it's an early release day. Preschool doesn't have school, but our paras are still coming in. And I think it'd be really beneficial to have our paras still have some of those training things for, like, if we notice the teacher or somebody else is struggling and they are working with that student as well, to kind of add that support with them.
In the past, that is addressed by the teacher or the coordinator training the para, not the curriculum.
also a budget issue. Yeah. Also.
Okay. So this concludes the revision of the descriptors.
When are we gonna start piloting? Because we gotta start prepping. We gotta plan for January because, like she said, okay, never mind.
This is perfect because this takes
Look at that timeline there.
that is okay. So agenda item 1.4, thank you for the segue directly to the timeline. So 1.4 upcoming committee meetings that we'll be looking actually at the proposed timeline for future meetings, and this includes information about the pilot. So everybody should be able to have a printed copy. I will also show this electronically so you see it. So today we met as December 5th. We are meeting again December 11th. So with the revisions we just made to the rubric, you will receive an electronic copy of the rubric tomorrow. And then before December 11th, you have 4 resources that are already on display. We ask that you evaluate those 4 resources using this rubric. And then we're meeting again on December 11th, which is, I believe, Wednesday. We'll be looking at the findings from the rubric to determine the 2 top resources for the pilot and 60-day review. After that, December 16th, the following Monday, we are presenting those 2 top resources to the governing board and making an announcement about the beginning of the pilot. When you look further, January 9th will be the committee meeting number 3. We will have one of the vendors out of the 2 resources coming in to provide a vendor showcase and train for the first resource that we selected. Right after that, you're starting your pilot, right after the presentation. February 24th, you will be coming to a second showcase for the resource number 2 and also bringing your evaluation from the first pilot with you. And then April 8th is when we have our meeting number 5, when we look at the second round of the pilot. So now we have both of the resources, the completed pilots, and we are going to also look at the community feedback that we received from the 60-day pilot that is going to be on display in the district office with links, and electronic, both and paper links provided for the community for their feedback. And we'll consider your feedback based on the 2 resources to determine the top resource that you would like to present and propose to the superintendent for the governing board potential approval. And then we do have April 14th scheduled as the governing board meeting where we present the top resource for potential approval. What questions do you have?
Can we just go back to Q24 real quick? I was agreeing with you with the meet criteria. What is the criteria? I'm just wondering if we could put professional learning opportunities or online support is included with curriculum. That's really what we're just looking for. Is there professional development with the
So
curriculum?
now it's question 18. It's the last question, correct? Yeah, we removed some of those, so.
Something like that. Not meet criteria for implementation, but more, are there professional learning opportunities if we need help with implementing the curriculum? Yeah. Loretta, I don't know if this sounds okay to everybody, but professional learning opportunities or online support is included with curriculum. Sorry, that one was just bothering me.
Just wait till this is done.
I have a question. So if curriculum does get approved, will we start in May or in August?
Take time to purchase it and then shipping and.
Okay.
It will be for the next school year.
Okay, so hold on, let me get my thoughts together, but
Please use the microphone.
I know. Okay, so we choose whatever vendor on January 9th, and then are we looking at the following No, because that one says begin piloting. How are we going to begin piloting if they haven't showcased to us yet?
They're going to train you on the night.
You're gonna begin on the 13th.
That's what I want to hear. For our planning purposes. So
You're gonna get trained and you're gonna immediately implement.
Next day you implement. Yes.
so that's what I want to know for like the planning that I need to have my ready for after break. That's all. Yeah.
We would prepare for that first week back from school. Thursday, we would be trained, and Monday it would begin.
Yes.
So that Monday that we begin on January 9th or January 13th, we would be planning for a 3-day teaching week because that's the week of conferences. Okay.
Okay, I'll just say this. Remember, this is a pilot. So a lot of you are thinking like, you're gonna train me and it's a full-blown, I use it. This is a pilot. You are feeling the resources. You might try a little bit of them. Maybe it's during your circle time. Then you might try a little bit of them the next day and it's during your literacy time. Right? So it's a pilot.
There's flexibility.
You are feeling the resources. It's almost like you're trying on a new pair of clothes. Right? And then you go, ooh, let me try it on in a different size. Okay? And we want you to feel both of the pilots because if you don't, then you have no idea what the other has to offer. Make sense? So you get a new pair of clothes in January. And then you come back and we give you a new wardrobe. And then you tell us which one felt better. Which one did the kids interact with better? Which one aligned to our standards better? Which aligned to your model the greatest? So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You're still going to have to plan, right? You're going to have to plan for instruction, and then this is going to be kind of like supplemental. Right? So Erica, that's going to make you feel better. Yeah. She's like, wait 1 second. We're getting training on the night, and I'm supposed to plan for a whole week. Yeah. That weekend? No. Where will you put that in? How will you feel it? How will you try it? And then you'll be evaluating it throughout the pilot. So Susanna will send you an evaluation, and she'll be asking you questions. Okay. How was this? How is it going? Write down notes. Take sticky notes. Say what you like. Say what you just can't stand.
Please be really diligent about it. That is super helpful when we actually meet together. When you have specific feedback you can provide because we often forget it. So having sticky notes or some kind of color-coded
Total notes.
Notes, and that really helps everybody else because just like Tasha mentioned, I mean, there is some flexibility in implementation of the pilot. So not everybody might be doing exactly the same thing. So you're also providing an insight into the resource path of what they have potentially experienced.
So my question would be, as we have different, what's the word? Like in January we do one thing, in February we do a different unit. As we do those different units, will these curriculum align to that, or are we just taking the structure that they're offering and implementing that with our units? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm going to say something. Y'all are not going back to teaching the first week of school. Right. Like if the unit is the first week of school, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We need to do a unit that aligns with where our kids are, right? You have already taught them certain things. So I do not want you to reverse and go back to units that you would have already completed in the school year.
Yeah.
I I think the company needs to work with us to say, okay, we're about mid-year through the school year. What are the units that in your resources are about midway through the school year? Those are what we want to know.
And just to add to it, we already had like my communication with the vendors has been pretty extensive, and we already had a couple of vendors ask for specific units. So just like when we did other primary resource adoptions, we looked for example, for middle school, we looked at essential standards that were coming up, and then the vendors provided us with units that align to those essential standards. It may not be perfect, but it should be somewhat aligned to what's coming up in your classrooms. Any additional questions, clarification? Okay.
I have a clarification. I heard you say that you want them to evaluate prior to the next meeting.
That's what.
That's actually not what we have done in the past.
If you have the flexibility and if you're next door and you have break, they're all displayed. However, if you're not available, and if you're not, no, that's completely fine. That's why we have an hour and a half on the 11th, so we could absolutely do it here. But sometimes that was just an option that I was providing because we sometimes had people that like to come in prior to the meeting to take their time and look at the resources. The resources will be available during the meeting time on the 11th, so it's quite okay also to just do it here.
Evaluating 4 resources in an hour and a half is more than doable.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank you for taking your time from your busy schedule. Again, as I mentioned, I will be sharing the updated electronic rubric with you tomorrow. If anybody needs a copy of the printed rubric prior and needs it right now, we could provide that as well. Otherwise, we'll be sharing the rubrics with you. And my only thing is have a wonderful rest of the evening, and I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 5:39 p.m.